Hare Krishna, Namaste, Chapter 18, Sloka 66, Part 11. Sarva-dharmān parityajya, ekaṁ śaraṇaṁ vraja, ahaṁ sarva-pāpebhyo, mokṣayiṣyāmi ma śucaḥ. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So far, we have seen three explanations to this sloka. The first one, where sarva-dharmān parityajya refers to giving up the mentality of doership, proprietorship, and result of one's action, but continue to do one's dharma. In this, giving up is not the dharmas, but tvāṁ. I will remove all your sanchita karmas, which are your moksha virodhis, the obstacles for you to leave this material world and to attain the spiritual world. Just surrender unto me. Do not fear about your sanchita karma. I will remove them. That's the first explanation. The second explanation for sarva-dharmān parityajya is where Krishna said, you are worried about your prayachita dharmas because you have unlimited sins and there are unlimited atonements to nullify your sins. Unless one's sins are removed, which stays as an obstacle for one to start bhakti yoga, one will not get started with bhakti yoga. I will remove all your karmas, those which stays as an obstacle, bhakti arambha virodhis. So you can get started with bhakti yoga. Just surrender unto me. Do not fear about those virodhis. I will remove them. The third explanation that we learned, sarva-dharmān parityajya, when the dharma shabdam is so very direct and clear, how can we interpret them to be tvāṁ and prayachita karmas? And if it is so, then it is not full surrender. Full surrender is where one completely depending on the Lord alone for everything. Whereas the below two explanation doesn't seem to be full surrender. It appears that Arjuna's surrendering is just for some help on some aspects in his bhakti yoga. Therefore, it is said anga prapatti. When one fully surrenders, then it is said swatantara prapatti. Arjuna wanted to perform bhakti yoga and attain the Supreme Lord. As he continues to do bhakti yoga, his prarabdha karma will vanish. What he will be left out is just sanchita karmas. For that reason, he surrendered to the Lord, requesting Krishna to remove the sanchita karma when he is done with his prarabdha karmas, which by itself may take many lifetimes. So here, the means, the upayam is bhakti yoga, and the anga, the accessory, is surrendering, the prapatti. Therefore, this surrendering is said to be anga prapatti. Likewise, in the second case, Arjuna wanted to start bhakti yoga, but he needs help from Krishna to remove the obstacles to start bhakti yoga. There are obstacles, certain obstacles in our life which prevents us to get started with bhakti yoga. Here also, bhakti yoga is the upayam, means, and the prapatti, surrendering process, is just the anga, part of it. Therefore, this one also falls under anga prapatti. Then in the third explanation, we learned that both the ones that we saw is not full surrender, because Arjuna is holding on to his strength to do bhakti yoga and to attain Krishna. Therefore, the proper understanding of this sarva-dharmān parityajya sloka is to give up the idea that karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga will give you moksha. They are not the one which going to give me Krishna. Then the question is, what is that going to be the mean to attain Krishna? The answer is Krishna himself. He is the upayam, the means to attain him. This is called swatantra prapatti, without depending on anything but only depending on Krishna to attain Krishna is said to be swatantra prapatti. So Krishna says, if you surrender in this way, that none of these things are going to help you to attain me, then I will remove all your sins. You don't need to worry about anything. Do not fear. Arjuna's fear was, well, my act of surrendering is very small, but the result is big. Krishna's response is, do not worry about that. It is me who is doing everything for you. If you think you did something small, then there's a problem because you have an idea that you did it. If you understand it is me who is doing it for you, then you won't find any difference as small or big. The second fear that he had was about his unlimited karmas, obstacles, and all those things. And Krishna replied, they are all under my control. Therefore, you don't need to worry about it. And the third fear he had was the place that I am going to go, the spiritual world, Vaikuntham, is the greatest abode, topmost place. That itself makes me fearful. How am I going to attain that place? Krishna responded, that is my job. I'll take care of it. I will do it out of my sweet will, Sankalpam. This is a recap of what we have done so far. Here comes an objection to the last explanation that we saw. This objection is similar to what we saw for the objection to the first explanation. Over there, it was said that it is not the dharma that needs to be given up, but it is a tvāṁ that needs to be performed. The objection was, when the dharma term is very clearly mentioned, then how can we say it is not the dharma needs to be given up, but the tvāṁ that needs to be performed? Similarly, here also, the objection to the third explanation is when it says sarva-dharmān parityajya very clearly, how is then it is not about giving up the dharmas, but giving up the idea that these dharmas will get you moksha. Well, if that is the objection, then we can for sure say that yes, it is the dharma that has to be completely given up. At the same time, it is the dharmas that has to be completely taken up. That is, a set of dharmas needs to be given up and a set of dharmas needs to be performed. The dharmas that we are talking are of karma, jnana and bhakti. To keep it simple, Krishna is telling here to give up dharmas which are not favorable for surrendering unto Krishna and accept those dharmas which are favorable for surrendering unto Krishna. By accepting those dharmas which are favorable for one to surrender to Krishna will help one to spiritually advance. By accepting those dharmas which are unfavorable for surrendering unto Krishna, one's spiritual advancements are blocked. So this fourth explanation is talking about giving up all the dharmas which are unfavorable in one's Krishna consciousness, in one's spiritual advancement. What are favorable, what are unfavorable? We will learn about them later when we present Sharanagati topic. But in short, if the dharmas are performed for selfish reason, those dharmas has to be tyajyam, given up. Whereas if I perform karma-jnana bhakti in the form of devotional service, then its essential nature itself varies, changes. It is different karma-jnana bhakti from the one which is done for selfish reason. When we do karma-jnana bhakti for selfish reason, it becomes upaya, a means to attain something, even including moksha. But if we perform karma-jnana bhakti in the form of devotional service, they do not stay as upayam, meaning they don't become a means to attain something, but they are simply done for the satisfaction of the Lord. So in this context, the explanation is sarva-dharmān parityajya means give up the karma jnana bhakti that is in the form of upayam, but continue to do those karma jnana bhakti which are in the form of devotional service. In other words, one can completely give up the dharmas of karma jnana bhakti in totality, keeping them as a means to attain Krishna. But one can do those karma jnana bhakti which are in the form of devotional service to please Krishna. One does that because it brings discipline in one's life. One does that because Krishna likes us to do that. One does that because it is mentioned in the scriptures. One does that because it is favorable in Krishna consciousness. And this is what's said as anukulyasya sankalpaha. As we said, we will discuss more on this later. Now to understand this fourth explanation, let's see an example which will make things clear. There are countries which fight for their independence. We have seen that in the history. And there were many freedom fighters. When one of the freedom fighters kills the opponents, we don't call that as murder. In fact, that freedom fighter is rewarded with some award. We know when someone kills another person, he has to be punished. But in this case, this freedom fighter has been awarded because it all depends based on the expected result. If the same freedom fighter killed the opponent so that he can steal something from that opponent, then the whole thing changes. In the first case, he was killing the opponent because he was selflessly fighting for the country to get freedom. In the second case, he killed the opponent for selfish reason to obtain something from the opponent. Same example will slightly twist it. A person who works in military goes to the boundary and then fight for his country. After successfully finishing his battle, after killing many of these enemies, he returns back to his village for a short break. During his stay, there was an enmity developed between him and his neighbor. It went to a point where the military man got so angry, he picked his revolver and shot the neighbor. The police arrived, arrested this military man, took him to the court right in front of the judge. The judge declared the punishment order. The military man raised his voice in front of the judge and everyone, said, "When I killed so many people in the war, you awarded me. When I just killed one person in my village, you're punishing me. This is not fair." The judge smilingly said, "The act is same, but the first one comes under tyaga. The second one comes under bhoga." The judge continued to say, "We are the one who trained you. We are the one We gave you the weapons. We are the one who gave the order to go and fight and kill people. Therefore, we take the full responsibility of the consequences. What you did was simply following our instruction without any selfish reasons, but for the benefit of the country. Therefore, that is said to be tyaga. Hence, we rewarded you. Whereas, in the second case, yes, it is true that we gave the training, we gave you the revolver, we gave you the break from your work, but we did not order you to kill your neighbor, or for that matter, anyone else. Therefore, the consequence you need to bear, not us. So we can see, even though the act of killing is same in both cases, but it totally varies based on what the result we are looking for. In the first case, the idea is to save the country. In the second case, the idea is to get some relief from the neighbor. First one was selfless service. Second was selfish reason. So what Krishna is saying here is, do those duties or any duties which pleases me and which are favorable in your Krishna consciousness, and give up all those duties which doesn't please me, which are not favorable in your Krishna consciousness. When you do in this way, remember, these are not the one which is going to get you liberation, moksha. Keep me as the means, upaya, to attain me. And this is what said to be swatantara prapatti. So the objection to the third explanation is that it only says give up the idea that karmanyana bhaktis are upayam, which means those are not given up as per the sloka's first line. So the fourth explanation clarifies that no, it is those karmanyana bhakti which has to be given up, and take Krishna as the mean, upayam, to attain Krishna. And this is said to be full surrender. One may think that if I am not able to do the dharmas, namely karmanyana bhakti, I should surrender to Krishna. But the point is being made here is, even if one is able to do karmanyana bhakti, one has to give up them and fully surrender unto Krishna. Why? Because they stand as a swarupa virodham. The nature of Atma is to be completely dependent on Krishna. If I take up any other means, that means I am not fully dependent on Krishna. I am dependent on my strength, myself. It is against the essential nature of Atma, soul. For that reason, one has to give up these dharmas to be the means to attain Krishna. One may ask a question, when the scriptures are given, so many dharmas needs to be followed. If I only pick and choose and fail to do others, won't I get sins? The response to this question by acharyas is that you will not get sin, but if you go against what has been said by Krishna, you will get sin. Because Krishna is the one who is telling to renounce those things. If we don't follow his instruction, obviously we will get sin. Not because not doing those things we will get sin. That concludes the fourth explanation. One common question that may arise is, sarva-dharmān parityajya says give up dharmas. If we give up dharma, will adharma take over? Well, it is not so. If I say someone, don't give this to that person, it doesn't mean take things away from that person. Here in this sloka, dharma is being asked to given up, and there is no instruction in this sloka which says that now you given up dharma, follow adharma. Let's understand this clearly. The scripture says, Satyam vada, dharmam chara. Speak the truth. That is dharma. Do not cheat others. That is dharma. Do not consume alcohol. That is dharma. Do not steal other things. That is dharma. Do not associate with other spouse. That is dharma. Do not gamble. That is dharma. Do not harm other living entities. That is dharma. Like that, so many dharmam has been mentioned in the scriptures. So the question is, if dharma has to be given up, won't adharma take over? Well, Krishna is saying, give up dharma. Parityajya. Give up speaking truth. Give up cheating others. Give up not drinking alcohol. Give up not stealing from others. Give up not harming other living entities. That means speak lies, cheat others, drink alcohol, harm other living entities, and so forth. Is that what is being recommended here in this sloka? Well, such thing will never take place, because we need to consider who is doing this act of surrendering and who is instructing one to surrender. Krishna, who is instructing, will not promote adharmam. Arjuna, who is surrendered to Krishna, will not do adharmam. And those who surrendered knows very well that performing adharmam, a religious act, is a enemy, virodhi, to the end result that one is aspiring for. If I want to attain Krishna, I have to please Krishna. I should not be accumulating any more karma, rather finish the karma that I have. If I follow adharma, then obviously it's not going to please Krishna, and on top of it, I'm going to get more karmas added to my karma bank. That all becomes virodhi, an obstacle, enemy to my final goal to attain Krishna. So by seeing oneself, realizing oneself, one's condition in this material world, where one is already suffering for enough of sins that been committed, one will not do adharma. Secondly, after understanding and learning about Krishna, one will not do adharma. And thirdly, understanding the end goal is to attain Krishna, one will never do adharma. And moreover, such adharmas are not in favor for one who is surrendered. That we will cover when we do pratikulyasya varjanam, renouncing unfavorable things in the process of śaraṇagati, which we will discuss more in detail when we get to śaraṇagati topic. But the point here is, doing adharma is going to displease the Lord, is going to get us more karma, and it's certainly not going to take us to the lotus feet of the Lord. So adharma is not being recommended, and adharma will not take over if we perform sarva-dharmān parityajya as recommended by Krishna. One additional note from Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan's Gita commentaries. Over there, he mentions there are 3 types of qualified persons: who has faith in the scriptures, who follows the path of dharma, and who has conquered the senses. The first is called sanishta adhikari, who performs the prescribed duties of varnashrama dharma and worship Krishna, and whose desire is to go to the higher planets within this material world. Such sanishta adhikari's realization ends with the self, the atma. The next type is parinishita adhikari. He directly engages in the devotional process of hearing and chanting, and sadhana is his main focus. He also performs varnashrama dharma, but without attachment. That too to set an example for less advanced person who do not have strong faith to practice bhakti as their main sadhana. Unparinishita adhikari results in realization of the Lord within the heart, Paramatma, whereas the third type is nirapeksha adhikari. Such person has no obligation to perform any prescribed duties, doesn't follow any varnashrama duties. He has developed such a full faith in the Lord as his protector. He is completely surrendered. He doesn't have any desire for any material things. Therefore, for such ardent devotees, performing any sort of prescribed duties is not needed. They are fully surrendered. Hence, there is no any sin by not following those dharmas. On the other hand, if we do not fall into nirapeksha adhikari, then obviously we have to follow what has been told us to be followed by one's acharya, one's guru. With that, we have completed an introduction to some of the commentaries given by the Vaishnava acharyas. For more detail, it is best to approach a learned Vaishnava or one's guru and learn from them submissively. In our sessions, we have been often mentioning that bhakti yoga is difficult. This may sound contrary to what one's understanding may be about bhakti yoga. So in our next session, let's understand why it is said so, that bhakti yoga is difficult, or what kind of bhakti yoga that is said to be difficult. Thank you. Hare Krishna.